Hello everybody, it's Antti here and this is Beyond Testing podcast. I think we have a guest.
And this is Atte.
That's my son Atte there. He gets to be on the episode now. We do have another guest as well. So before we move forward, I want to welcome you to the show and introduce our guest. Although I have introduced you in our previous episodes quite some times. So his name is Sami Söderblom, and he's a software testing coach, highly regarded keynote speaker, and he has a phenomenal career that we will not go into more details at the moment. You are an entrepreneur in software testing at the moment. Welcome to the show, Sami.
Thank you, Antti.
Yes.
Great to be here.
Yes. So we have a question. We have an audience question here. The question starts with the feeling statement. Can you relate? I feel like time is constantly running out. So I feel like time is constantly running out in our software project. What should we do?
Okay,
so I think this is like a time management question in a sense, but this I can relate. I constantly feel the same way as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And same. And for me, it makes it easier that we don't try to be complete, but manage. And one way to do it is communicating progress, like rather than saying that this is done or whatnot. And for instance, in testing.
Hey, you gotta pick the camera and take the B-roll material from the behind the cameras now.
Nuh-uh.
You gotta do it now. We have to cut you out pretty soon. Little boy, move. That's a great job. So pick the camera and take some like footage out of the behind. That's behind the scenes. It's not the B-roll. It's behind the scenes material. So yeah, that's awesome. So all right. So we have to get back to the conversation now. The original question about the time management stuff and the feeling of like this time running out.
Yeah. So I wanted to address two topics. Progress and risks.
Progress and risks.
Yeah. So the first one, I've already admitted that I don't get things done. It's a bad thing to put it.
Yeah.
But rather that you reach a certain level where value exceeds risks, that you can actually create revenue and there's not too much problems coming from the market and production and so on. But in order to follow that, in order to map where we are going, try to communicate progress. Where are we now? Where have we been, and so on. Forget the status, the traffic lights and so on, but rather show improvement in what we are doing. For instance, in testing, show improvement in test coverage, risk coverage, and so on. What you have been finding, whether it's going down. If you're not finding anything anymore, perhaps you should stop testing or try something else.
So there is this like I've noticed that there's this like illusion or this belief that like we should be able to do it all.
Yeah.
And for example, there will always be more books published than you can humanly read.
Yeah.
So you gotta just like pick your battles in a sense that you choose that will bring value to you. Yeah. And in the context of software development, I would say the battles can be big based, for example, on the risks.
Yeah, risks. Yeah,
that's one way to pick the battles.
Yeah,
but that's a great like just to first accept that we cannot do it all, so we gotta like evaluate what we want to have happen and what's the potential value of it, and then this just you can breathe more deeply. That we can't make it all happen, but what we can actually focus on is the progress we are making today or this week, and that's immediately addresses the feeling of time running out in a way that it feels more that now it's we're working on something than just not being there where we want it to be. So there's a subtle difference, but it makes it like emotionally easier.
Yeah, and the team can also participate in steering like whether I'm doing the right things. If I want to test something, if I do it by emotion, then I usually test the wrong things, and they are not beneficial for the team or the business or whatnot. And team can then adjust when I communicate that I'm progressing this way, and I'm about to test this, and so on. Information is often good beacon for that. What information do we have? What do we need to have in order to cover certain risky areas and so on?
So in terms of like evaluating the risks as part of the time management, and what you want to achieve and accomplish. So how would the process look like if you were to run that kind of like a session with the team, for example?
Well, first I could categorize risks.
Yeah.
That what risks are we trying to cover with our tests? Is it market risk? For instance, is there a risk that the people won't buy our product or service, or whether they don't like otherwise, or whether it conflicts with some law or otherwise? Other market risks. Then there could be product risks. Is it too expensive or hard otherwise to develop or maintain this product? Does it conflict with other products we are selling, like internal quality in a sense? Orchestration risk. Do we put our architecture in a way that it creates a risk, that it's too complex, hundreds of Lambda functions working a bit funnily there, and it's hard to maintain and hard to hand over to other developers and so on. It's a spaghetti in an architecture. So that could be one risk. Or functional risk, whether in the code there's something that the functions are not doing it correctly, or something takes 100 lines of code even if it could be done in a 10. So efficiency and sustainability in that sense. And
so you categorize like the risks and what then?
or different levels. And for instance, if we gather around with, for instance, with business people, design people, and so on, we cannot address just functional risks because they are highly technical. We need to cover, for instance, product or market risks with them, and then do a separate session on more technical risks and so on. So categorizing those and initiating that discussion and facilitating that. So that helps us recognize the places we need to focus on, not only with testing, but also with development.
Yeah.
So
this actually like reminds me of a process. I call it the DSP process.
Okay.
So it's like every time when I like approach a large scale like a project or a problem, I usually follow these 3 steps that are labeled D, S, and P. D is for deconstructing. So you like break down the world of risks into these categories. So you deconstruct it. Then the S stands for selection. So you select what are the relevant risks or relevant categories, for example, in this situation. You select them and then maybe put some things into like your backlog and some things on your table now, and some things you just toss, and then the last piece of the puzzle is to like put them into order of priority. So deconstruct, select, and prioritize, and then you just like put them into order of importance, and then you know how much time you have. So you just pick the ones that you can from the top of the list, and that's it. You're done. So because you can never do it all, so you have to pick what you do. So that's how it goes. It's such a decision-making process, basically.
And when you start iterating, you don't even have to know the whole time bump you have in your hands, but you can iterate. You can take some risks, the most prominent ones, so start working on them with development and testing. And when you have covered those, then you have some sense what would it take to cover these risks and so on. So you are learning all the time and iterating from that. And So
That's cool. So I want to just like loop back before we wrap up the episode. Loop back to the you said communicating the progress. That's like very interesting thing. So so what are like your pro tips for communicating the progress then?
Well, I often, when I run shows about this topic, I usually start with when you have to draw like Batman. You have 10 seconds to draw Batman. It's quite different from the picture that you would draw in 5 minutes or 1 hour.
I have to tell you a story because like when we flew here to Helsinki with Atte, we had this like exercise when we had this like iPad and the drawing application there, and we set the timer for 20 seconds and we were supposed to draw a character, an anime character that was recognizable by the other in 20 seconds, and we were like surprisingly good at doing that with stick figures and capes and stuff like that and colors, and I was like surprised how easy it was actually to do that, but but that was a sidetrack from the conversation though.
Yeah, but imagine putting that in the testing context. You do testing 1 hour and show what you got. Usually it's for instance, I just recently found a bug that nullified the whole business. That was worth hundreds of thousands of euros, now millions.
Wow.
One bug in 45 minutes. So that also sets the expectation that if I do 10 hours of testing, they will expect 10 million euros in return. So you have to also set the expectations in that way.
It works like a social media because like some videos go viral and some don't. So
but the progress is usually in testing is when it starts to decline. You don't provide any value. So you have to adjust. You have to change your test data or test design or something, your behavior, to provide new insight, or stop and focus on something else. And then when you communicate that, then it's also team can participate and judge whether you are doing the correct things and provide value for the team and so on.
That is also like in the context of software testing, that is a way to communicate coverage. Because like I've spent like 45 minutes in these different areas. Do you feel like it's enough? And that's an easy way to go through the discussion about the coverage. Because like lots of the time people in organizations who don't know about testing, they want to measure coverage by the number of test cases or something like that. But I feel like more valuable information is the progress you're making in terms of time, for example.
And test coverage is a funny thing also, because it's inherently nothing. Because what you are covering some risks, or what are you doing with those tests? Because usually people are communicating just the test coverage. Is there any sense in those tests you are making?
It's true.
What's the reason for them? So that could be worthy question.
That's true. So I think it's time to do a bit of wrap up here. Just to quickly summarize, one of the things, like because the original question was that I feel like we're constantly running out of time. Everybody has 24 hours of time. So you're not running out of time, but you're not using the time in a way probably that is valuable for you and the organization. That's I would say that's the what's behind the question. So first would be to accept that you have a limited amount of time and more things to do than there is of you. So that was a rhyme. That was fun. Cool. So first thing is to accept, and then to learn how to build, in a sense, like pick your battles and prioritize them in the order of importance. One example would be the risk management process that you described, and then communicate through the means of progress than the outcomes, because nothing is ever like perfectly ready. So that would be the quick sum up. Did I forget something?
No, I think that's great.
That's awesome. So basically, when you're watching this episode, you could just like scroll to the end and watch the summary, and that's it. But anyways, that was I hope it was the answer for you who sent the question. If you have any more comments, ideas, future questions, please don't hesitate to post them into the comments field. At this point, I want to thank you, Sami, for being our guest once more in the Beyond Testing podcast.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Take care and bye-bye.
Bye.